This is the start of growing up in a dysfunctional household where your father is abusive to your mother. And the little turtle at that time, growing up in a household where verbal abuse was relevant, physical abuse was common, and mental abuse was a form of brainwash, a form of you thinking that this is the way that you're supposed to grow up and treat somebody else and love somebody else. My my interpretation of a relationship growing up was you argue, you physically fight, and then eventually you make love to that person. What I thought was love. But I realized that that's a form of abuse. And growing up in the household with my parents and watching them on how they love each other, I found out that was a form of abuse. One time I can recall, I'm gonna take it back. I remember my father used to put guns and like a target to my mother's head while she would sit there on the sofa, have her head scraped on the against the wall, and he would tell her don't move, and he would shoot around her head. So that incident led that my mother had to fight for her life. And now that I have been through those things, I realize what my mother went through. So it took me to a place where I didn't know what was going on, and especially going through that as you waking up, or never knowing what today is going to bring you with your parents on the way that they love each other, but also on some kind of feeling that you have on the inside that people say is no good, it's terrible. So my mother one day, she had no other choice but to fight for her life, and she shot my father, almost killing him. And from there, it went downhill. Because I realized that when you make a stand for your life and you're fighting for your life, there's no return that you need to make to the aggressor. Only thing you need to do is walk away and leave that individual and not allow that individual to take what they didn't give you. And that's the wonderful creation that God has made, because God has given us all good things in each and every little thing. If we would only take our time to look and open up our eyes and see. So the abuse would happen terribly after that, because we stayed in East Point, then we moved to College Park, which was my father's auntie's house. And it was a house that she probably had in, I wouldn't say the lady was born in 18 something, but I could say that Aunt Viola was very up up in age when I was a very young child. Um, and when my mother would run away, because that's what I would consider as her running away for her life, to different individuals that would comfort her, I would watch those individuals send her back to be abused again, to be a, to be abused again. So it was a lot of trying to figure out things as a child, a very young child, a child that happens to be second to the oldest. Um, So we had a lot of responsibilities because I have a total of, it's 9 of us total siblings. And then my mother also raised her sister 3 daughters when she transitioned, when her sister transitioned, um, you know, away from this earth. So I didn't know what love was. And for some reason in my spirit, I was desperate for it. But we all are desperate for something that we don't grasp the understanding to. But my friends, my people that I decide to share my life with, I've learned what that is. And I'm going to share it with you as I go on this journey. Like a lot of stuff on my face, what's going on. But it's okay. It is what it is. Accept me in the raw. It is what it is. So one time I was walking to with my mother. We was walking to one of her friends' house. They stayed like the street over from where we stayed. And my mother was outgoing, from what my aunties tell me, outgoing, great personality, and a wonderful individual at that time. And I watched her come back home and to not only deal with an abuser, but deal with a person that was um, cheating on her with cousins, relatives, his own relatives. And he was getting ready to go. So I walked in the room with my mother because I always watched my mother, and I was in the 2nd grade. I cry for anyone that's going through that. And I cry for the younger me because I didn't realize that, dang, this young man went through a lot of stuff. But glory be to the Most High God. I made it through. And I do believe that anybody that's in it or going through it at this time that feel that there's no way out, you're stronger than what you think you are. And you can make it out of anything. Just put your mind into it and know what you was created for. So she came in the room. He was taking a shower or bath, and he happened to shove her. And at that time, my mother used to tote a 22 in her bra, and the gun fell out. That's when he grabbed my mother because he had a flashback. Remember, when it started to go downhill. Grabbed my mother, and he must have put back on his work shoes. And he started stomping her and kicking her in her face. As a child, I ran out and I said, he's beating her again. And I'm a young child trying to do the best I can helping her, but grown people are there watching her get beat. So my mother came out. She had, her jaws was this huge. Or maybe I'm exaggerating, but to me as a young child, it's huge. Even as I remember, it was huge. So my mother eventually, her cousin came and he helped her out to get rid of, to help her to escape the situation. So she did. All the neighbors in the neighborhood, they pretty much just laughed because it was other females that he was messing with in the community. So it was like, oh, that's what she get. So my mother left humiliated. I could see it in her face, for a whole crowd of men and women and even young people that was my age at that time, that was young, to see a woman get beat like that by her husband and nothing actually to get done by it. It was devastating to me, and it's actually more devastating to me now that I look back on it. So my life has consisted of that as well. My journey has entailed those kind of things. I've learned that when you feel that somebody is not right, friend, family, or just somebody coming along in this world, you get yourself out of that situation because it's going to be a long journey, and you ought to be happy that you walk out with your life. I have more for you, but you know we're on a time restraint, so stay tuned.